Hello, I'm Nathan Allshouse here with the Capital Creative Showcase, another interview with Josie Noronha. And I'd like to basically, talk to you about, your game and your years of, being part of our community and all that kind of stuff. So first off, let's tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Josie, of course. I use they, them, theirs pronouns. I focus on kind of like cute, colorful games, which is kind of changing in the more recent couple of months. And I just, I guess my favorite genre of game would be visual novels. I love story-based games.
Yeah, they're great.
Mhm.
There's a lot of good content there.
Yes.
So you made a game that you had shown at some of our previous events, like back Indie Arcade. You've been in our community for a while now. It's a Josie Robo-Tea one Cup one, right? So
Robo T1 Cup.
one cup. Tell me about that game.
So that is it started off from a very small project in 2015 where I was just trying to kill time between looking for jobs, really. And it's a small robot dating sim where you're on a all robot planet, and my goal for that game was basically just how do you make a dating sim where there's no bad ends and you feel encouraged to actually start noticing how people react or how people want to be treated.
So very positive in a way, just kind
Yes.
of talking about the very positive parts of relationship building and stuff like that. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. That's really good. So you had talked to me earlier about your communication and character building and stuff like that. Tell me about that a little bit.
So I think whether it's playing games or making them, I'm really fascinated with character interaction. And even in tabletop scenes, I love when people are getting into the kind of dialogue-based character interaction aspects. I think it adds another element to understanding the world. And developers, I think, do this really well, where through characters interacting on screen, they actually give more flavor, more context to why these characters are doing what they're doing.
So what went into building that? I mean, like, how do you approach that as far as a developer standpoint to actually kind of put that all together in a meaningful way and kind of convey that to your fan base?
I I honestly think it comes from one observing people out there in the world interacting and boiling it down to, okay, here are the key points that I notice for relationships like this, and here's what I'd like to incorporate in my games. So I I tend to have a very narrative focus in how I design games. So I'll figure out, okay, these are the relationships I want to portray. Here are the major. Well, I don't really try. I aim for low conflict in games. So instead, I'll have like, here are small things that I want each character to learn about each other along the way
Right.
as part of my flowchart of here's how the story will go.
Right. Now I seem to recall we had streamers actually playing some of the game at last year's Capital Creative Showcase, and your game seemed to be very popular. I know that like a lot of people were talking about it, and they were really getting into it. The streamers just absolutely loved it, and had a lot of fun playing it. So, like, how have your fans actually? I mean, I'm assuming you have people who love the game and talk to you about it. How did you? How are they? Talk about your fan base. Like, what do they love about the game, and what was their feedback when they actually played it?
Honestly, so I made this game as just something for myself and a few friends, and over time, just showing the development of this game, I I somehow found more people who were really in love with the concept and were willing to help me playtest this and show their friends once it was finished. And I think the biggest thing is people are who play my game are looking for just a way to relax, because we always worry about like interactions and how they'll end badly, whether that's in games or in reality. And
Right.
so having a game where you really don't have to worry about that. It is what it says on the tin. It is calm, it is soothing.
Yeah, it's low stress. Like fighting all the kingdoms of dark, whatever kind of
Yes.
stuff, and yeah, yeah,
So I think that's really what my fan base is looking forward to, is content that they can just unwind with after maybe a difficult conversation or a really stressful week.
yeah.
And I still want to stay true to that, but I am looking into other ways that I can branch out from just calm dating sims.
Right, right. So now you've been to SAC Indie Arcade, which is kind of the predecessor to Capital Creative Showcase, and you've been to a lot of our events and stuff like that. What is the Sacramento Developer Collective and the Sacramento gaming community? What has that meant to you? I mean, there's a lot of great people in there and stuff like that. I know that you've kind of influenced a lot of them with your development stories and stuff like that. What has that meant to you?
Honestly, I think for me, I'm very shy, or I have been shy when I started joining this developer scene. And for me, I kind of just kept observing how everybody has been working together really well. And I keep up to date with like what events are going on where people can collaborate. I love the collaborative nature of what's going on here. So even if I'm still like very closed off and shy, I can at least encourage people to join in and
Right.
gain the skills that people look to me for and have them learn together.
Yeah, I think I've seen so much, so many people kind of really become more comfortable, people who have some social anxieties, and they don't necessarily know how to talk to other people, but there's that common thread in something that we love. We love game development, we love games and stuff like that, and that really seems to be kind of an equalizer and bringing everyone together in a way that we can all enjoy in the same way. And it's just such a beautiful thing, and our community is such a strong community, a diverse community, and it's just been a lot of fun to actually see that.
Yeah, I think honestly, getting to be at SAC Indie Arcade and Capital Creative Showcase, seeing everybody in the same space, you're like, oh my God, everybody actually, I don't know how best to describe it. It's basically like, as somebody who has only been interacting online, it's finally getting to see the fruits of everyone's labor and getting to also see just how many people there are and
Right.
how different our concepts might be for our games, but people are very interested in all of our stuff.
Yes, yeah, and it's fun to see kind of from the outside too. I mean, all the interest of the fans and stuff.
Yeah.
So what are you doing these days? I mean, what have you been up to lately? I mean, other than a global pandemic that we're all trying to hide from. I mean, have you continued development? You got anything new going on?
So I actually, let me share my screen. I have 2 games that I'm trying to work on this year.
Okay, awesome. Love to see it.
So I will share screen. So I have had my game Robo T1 kind of as my starting point into this world of games. And I've been trying to develop its sequel, and it's taken me about 4 years to get to the point where I'm like, okay, I want to complete this so I can give closure to the people who've been following this journey. And also, I think it's a form of closure for myself too, of being a little bit afraid of stepping out of my comfort zone. I think Robo-Tea represents all of the things that I love in games of very cute, colorful worlds. And now I want to start diving into the world of horror, suspense, and intrigue.
Awesome. So you have kind of a good base in what you started with, and you're kind of expanding from that. That's great.
Yeah, it's a challenge because I don't want to alienate the players who have followed me with my previous games. So I'm still trying to find ways to make a scary game still, I don't know if I would say low stakes, because story-wise, I still want there to be impact. But
Right.
I want to find ways to not use jump scares, not use typical things that are anxiety-inducing in horror games or
Kind of a low
film.
stress, but you still have conflict, kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. So tell me about Robo-Tea Second Serving. I mean,
So second serving, we have a character that was introduced in the first game as your new protagonist. And this game basically just expands what the world that you've been playing in is all about. So you do play a series of dates, or in a series of dates, and the biggest theme for communication with this one that I wanted to do is I wanted to see how people can explore open relationships and remember that the most important thing is everybody should be on the same level when it comes to knowing what's happening. So keeping open communication amongst everybody is how you manage to avoid major conflict.
Right.
And that's what I want to kind of encourage in this game.
Awesome. I bet you have some fans that are like very like excited to hear this. Have you talked about this at all yet, or is this kind of an exclusive?
So I have talked about it, but up until this point, I've only had a demo out for the 4 years that I announced it. So hopefully by the end of the year, I can have everybody I have the actual experience of all that communication that I've been waiting to share.
Well, I hope that a lot of fans from the Capital Creative Showcase Virtual Edition are going to be so excited about this and kind of look to find out more. So where can they find out more? Is this on the screen, the Twitter and Instagram and games, the best place to go?
Yes. So I currently have the Robo-Tea second serving demo on robohavenitch.io, and every now and then I will put up updates on Twitter, very rarely on Instagram. I think I spend more time taking pictures of character art, like the Untitled Horror Suspense game that I have going on here. But it's different aspects of my game development that I'll show on those platforms.
Right. Awesome. All right, that was Josie Noronha at Capital Creative Showcase, and back to you.